Welcome to City Life. Coming up today on the program, child psychologist Fran Vertue is here, and Dr Ramon from the Health Board, and Lucy Arnold from Felt to chat about craft. But first, Superintendent Andy McGregor, welcome to City Life.
Thanks, Kanita. Great to be here.
So tell me, what's the mood in Christchurch like at the moment?
Well, obviously, after the quakes we've had this week, people, their nerves are a bit frayed. They're very tired, and we're noticing that with our own staff as well. And I think everyone's just wondering when it's going to end. Hopefully it is, but we know it's going to go on for a while, but hopefully not with the magnitude we've had so far.
Tell me about your staff. How are they coping?
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of them are tired. Obviously, those in the main building, there's issues about that. There's worries about that coming in. Their own staff, they've all got their own personal situations as well to deal with. Some are in the red zone that got affected. Some are in the orange zone and the white zone. So just like the population of Christchurch, the communities out there, they're part of the community, and they're badly affected, and it's impacting on them as well. Okay,
I've heard some really good stories about police really getting out there into the community and mucking in. Tell me about some of those stories.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've had some fantastic feedback from the community. One Saturday it was a bit quiet when the senior sergeant got actually a team of constables in there, and they did a bit of a door knock around some of the streets in Bexley, and they came across an 83-year-old woman who was stacking wood. Amazing. So they went up and they said, "Hey, we'll give you a hand," and she was actually running out a bit of breath and just about having palpitations, I think. So she stood back, rested, and they stacked all the wood for her. Yeah, there must have been a couple of cord there. They were there for a few hours, but she was that impressed. She came out with a couple of sarsaparillas for them.
Aww.
So yeah, no, fantastic. But here's an 83-year-old woman, and she's using a wood-fired oven to cook in. She had no power to the oven. So amazing. And the neighbours came over, thought it was fantastic.
What about the officer you were talking about earlier about silt in his home? Yeah,
I mean, you wonder how long people can go on. Here's a person, with his family, wife and kids. Their liquefaction's been through their house twice, like a lot of other people through Christchurch. And he was there the next day, shoveling the liquefaction out, trying to get it. And he said, a few off-duty cops came around, gave him a hand. And he said, Andy, the next day, God, it's fantastic. He said it was just like the burden's been lifted off my shoulders. And it sort of it puts a smile on their dial again. It just sort of gets them back into that positive framework. And it's great, there's a lot of people out there providing a lot of assistance, a lot of help to other people. And it's great. It's a great community spirit.
Let's look at our reassurance patrols that the police are doing right now.
At the moment, we've still got a lot of out-of-district staff supporting Christchurch. Last time I spoke to you, we had about 140. We're down to about 50 to 60 now. So things are getting better. Our local staff are getting back into it a lot more. The good thing is, with the high visibility, crime has actually come right down. So there's a lot of preventative work going out there, which is fantastic. We're preventing it. So and it's great. We're getting in the malls, talking to people. It's that high visibility, getting out there in those suburbs where there's a lot of vacant houses, and no, it's great, and we're getting some good results.
So let's just look at some crime prevention. I've read of bogus tradesmen, for example. Let's look at those stories.
It's quite interesting, is that there's a lot of people who are very wary out there, and they're very wary of people purporting to be officials coming in, the likes of EQC workers and other government departments. They're trying to get into properties, obviously, and there's always that element of the criminal fraternity who are actually going to go in there and prey on other people's misfortunes. They see that opportunity out there. What we're saying to people, they should have proper accreditation and challenge them. Obviously, if they're not wearing the accreditation, challenge them. Say where you're from, what are you here for, and if there's any element of doubt, please contact police. 111 will be there straight away. We are waiting for those calls. We had an incident there. It was quite good, actually, and this is a good news story. It was people purporting to be Housing New Zealand workers. They went in there, they told people they had to get out of their houses. The people thought it was a bit suspicious because of the time in the afternoon towards early evening, and they contacted Housing New Zealand, who said, well, we haven't got any people in that area at the time. They rung us as well, so we got there, checked it out, and they were legitimate. So it's good, but they weren't wearing the identification. And all the government agencies are reinforcing with their workers that if you're going onto people's places, have your identification. That includes people who are purporting to be police officers as well.
Let's look at other things like home security. How should we be looking after our homes?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what we're saying to people, please secure your houses. The big thing is, if you're going away, contact your neighbours and let your neighbours know that you're going to be away. With the neighbours, Anything suspicious at all, contact us, 111, and we'll be there very quickly. Don't even think about it or delay. Don't think, oh, was it suspicious or not? If you think it was, we'd like to know about it now, not 20 minutes later. 99 times out of 100, your gut instinct will be right, and would rather attend the one where it's legitimate, and so what? You know, it's better to get that 99 times, get there. And the big thing is, there's a lot of people who out there in the community who are like a lot of people being badly affected by the earthquakes. A lot of you actually know who's actually out there purporting, you know, sort of taking advantage of this situation, committing crimes, etc. We've got that Crime Stoppers line, 0800 555 111. That information will be treated anonymous. Please ring it if you know or you think you know who's actually out there committing these crimes. We want to know about it.
Okay. Now, there's been some stories about the building, the main Central City Police Station building. How is it? Have you worked in there yourself?
I'm working in there continually.
Yeah.
Myself, I'm on the 13th floor sometimes, and on the 3rd floor I go up and down the lifts. And I mean, we've had some minor earthquakes. I've been in the lift itself. It's had a bit of a shudder, etc. Obviously, we're looking at it. We've had 3 engineers, 3 separate engineering companies look at it. They've all come back with the same thing. Structurally, it's sound. Cosmetically, it doesn't look good. I mean, if you go in there, you see a lot of cracks in the building, but it's all superficial. Obviously, we're looking at options to actually into the future as to what we do and where we go, and we're working on that with other stakeholders. The big thing is we're doing a lot of work with staff, actually encouraging them and providing that assurance that the building is safe. Okay.
Now, finally, you came to Christchurch just after the earthquake, and you're off again soon?
Yes. I've been here since the middle of March, and we'll be finishing up around about the middle of. I'll be finishing up in the middle of July. We'll still have the reassurance patrols, the trust patrols, going through to the end of August, and that's when the district completely takes over. So, just as an interim step, my team will be moving out, and the district will be taking over the responsibility for the trust patrols.
Okay, and how's your time been here?
Oh, it's been fantastic. It's great. I'm originally from Christchurch. I've got a lot of sort of, I suppose, local contacts in amongst the agencies, and that's probably one of the reasons why they sent me down here, sort of being a local boy, so and getting back. It's been great.
Well, it's been good to have you here.
Oh, thanks very much.
And thanks for coming on City Life.
Okay.
We'll be back after this break. Welcome back to City Life, and I'd like to welcome Matthew Jones, here to talk about workplace bullying. Now, tell me, what constitutes bullying?
Okay, anything that puts anyone under duress, or they feel that they're being put under stress or pressure from their employer or workmate, which we regard as unfair or unjustified. So that can be simple as name-calling or teasing, all the way up to physical harm on the work site. And so the reason why we did a press release in recent days, and the reason why I'm here today, is to send a message that we've noticed here at Unite Union, here in Christchurch, that there's been a spike in employment-related worksite bullying. A significant increase, particularly in the last few weeks. We've done a press release to remind employers of their responsibilities, but we've also done a release to remind that workers here in Christchurch that we've got to stand together and stick up for one another and get through this.
What is the reason for it, specifically here in Christchurch?
Well, before September and before the earthquakes, Unite Union has developed a good relationship with the employers that we deal with, and we've tried to encourage them to bring in some really stringent anti-bullying policies. It's never foolproof. Unfortunately, New Zealand's got a very high level of worksite bullying cases across the world. It's regarded as one of the highest bullying countries, unfortunately. And so we would normally deal with 1 or 2 cases a week of bullying, but in the last couple of months, here in Christchurch, we're dealing with about 16 or 17 cases this week alone.
Wow.
Which is incredible. And so it's time for us to sort of step up and make it loud and clear that this isn't acceptable.
Let's look at some of the examples. You can't use names, of course, but let's look at some of the example that are happening out there at the moment.
Yeah, sure. So we've got companies who have known for a matter of months of employees that have had a fallout, who have resorted to name calling, and unfortunately we've got work sites now that are split into 2 kind of groups, them and us mentality. The company has been aware of it for a long time. Our attention was drawn to it a number of weeks ago. We raised it with the company, tried to do the right thing. The company stonewalled us. We've also got staff who have been instructed to leave the union, otherwise they won't be promoted. We've got...
Is it legal?
No, it's not. It's absolutely illegal. We're dealing with it currently in-house with the company, reminding them of their responsibilities. However, if we don't hear back from them soon, they'll be in some serious trouble. We've also got staff describing physical abuse as well, management pinching, or management hitting staff over the head with cooking tools. These are the kind of things that are going on, which management on the store are aware of, but are refusing to do anything about it. And this is the chief concern. Before the earthquakes in September, I was working with a number of companies highlighting the fact that store management are horribly underqualified and horribly supported by their companies. And when it's come to the crunch, when we're under so much pressure here in Christchurch, those flaws are really starting to show through now, where we've got store management that are either hiding their heads in the sand, they've got enough stress and worry of their own, and they're just not equipped to deal with this, or we've got management who are lashing out, and that's a really major concern for our members.
Yeah. Now, there has been a release come out from Peter Townsend from the Canterbury Employers Chamber of Commerce, saying this is not right. It's not true.
Yeah.
What do you say to that?
It's kind of quite a good reflection of the response we've had from the employers in general, unfortunately. Again, it's that burying the head in the sand. The reality is that there is an awful lot of bullying going on. There's always been bullying going on. Unfortunately, it's a fact of life, but since the events in Christchurch, that level of bullying has gone through the roof. And so we're just here to kind of buck the trend and to make it clear that this is going on. We know it's going on because of the level of casework we've got on at the moment, and we are putting the onus back onto the employers to step up and do the right thing as well. So, yeah.
Do you think it's a stress thing on sort of both accounts, like the person who is being bullied and the person who is bullied?
Yeah.
I mean, because the person who is being bullied, maybe they wouldn't have sort of even noticed when they weren't so stressed.
Yeah, absolutely. I think.
So do you think maybe they're a little bit more sensitive at the moment?
Yeah, I would certainly say that. I mean, that would explain the escalation in the number of cases we've got. What it's doing is it's putting to the test the policies and the processes that are in place by these large companies, and it's failing miserably. It's something that we always suspected, and now we're witnessing it.
Okay, so what do you say to people who are being bullied? What advice would you give them?
First and foremost, do talk to your employer. Okay, we always put that on our members as well. We've got to keep that open line of communication between the staff and their management. However, if they're not getting anywhere with it, they need to talk to their colleagues, and they also need to take advice either from their union, if they've got one on their work site, or to speak to someone either in the Department of Labour, or failing that, if it's a serious assault, call the police. Yeah, you don't have to suffer in silence.
And to those people who are allegedly bullying people, what would you say?
Well, see, that's a difficult one. I mean,
chill out.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier said than done, particularly in what's going on here in Christchurch. But talking to someone or looking for advice or talking to your peers is always something that we would advise. Managers who are under stress and under pressure should feel that they can talk to their area manager or the next kind of tier or their peers. If they can't do that, then, I mean, our door's open as well.
Okay. And how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so we've got a free phone number, so they can reach us on 0800 to Unite.
Okay.
Otherwise, they can find us on the internet. Simply do a search for Unite Union New Zealand, and you'll find us there.
Matthew, thank you for coming on the programme.
You're welcome, thank you.
Now I'd like to welcome to City Live clinical psychologist Fran Vertue. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Now tell me about the different responses to the earthquake with people.
Well, there are huge individual differences in the way that people's brains are wired, basically. And for some people, their brains are very sensitive to even small differences in what's happening around them. So for some people, simply the shaking of the ground is experienced much more intensely than it is for others. So there's no point in telling people to just kind of pull themselves together, this is fine, get over it, you're being a wuss. The fact is that for some people this is an earth-shattering experience. For others, it's scary, but it's not so severe. So that's one of the things that will govern how people respond, and that's basically their temperament. Some people are just like that. Yeah.
Okay. And are there any other ways that they respond to it?
Well, I mean, there are other things that govern how people respond to any kind of stress. So one of those is what kind of support systems they have. So people who have good support systems tend to be more resilient than people who don't, who are isolated. Another issue that is a strong predictor of people's reactions or their resilience is their health. So people who have pre-existing health difficulties, whether those are physical health or mental health difficulties, are going to fare worse than people who don't.
Okay.
So if you think about temperament and support systems and health, and the fourth thing is people's coping strategies. I mean, interestingly, people who've been through some kind of trauma previously tend to have a little bundle of tools that they use when they're under stress. So if you have a few coping strategies, that also helps.
Do you find that, or will you find that the people who have sort of reacted to the earthquake by going, oh, I'm freaking out, or the people who are just like, okay, it's another earthquake, let's move on, will the people who are like, okay, it's another earthquake, I'll just move on, will they respond to it in the future? Will they go, oh, gosh, that was a really big deal for me, and they deal with it then, rather than people who are dealing with it now by freaking out and talking about it and things like that?
I mean, not necessarily. I think there are people who swing into coping mode when there's a crisis, and particularly people who are in positions of responsibility, who are having to look after other people, so parents, for example. A lot of parents that I see in my clinical practice who, during an earthquake, are there, they're handling it, they're doing what they need to do. Sometime later, when the adrenaline wears off, the tears come, and the kind of let down when all of those fight or flight hormones have stopped. Yes, so certainly that can happen, and I think for some people who have been kept incredibly busy because of their work, for them some of the reality may only kick in a bit later once things return a little bit more to the new normal, or whatever it's called.
Now let's look at the role of parents in managing their children's anxiety.
The cardinal rule to remember is that children look to their parents for signs as to whether the world is safe or not. So parents have to fake it. Parents, when there is an aftershock, need to steel themselves. And I'm always encouraging parents to make some kind of gesture that, yes, we beat that one again, rather than, oh, when's the next one going to happen? That what we model for our children is coping and surviving, rather than being victims and really vulnerable. So children take their cue from their parents. If their parents look terrified, children will be terrified. They don't know about the world. They don't know what any of this means. So they're looking to their parents. So that's one thing. Second thing that I think really important is that there's nothing that makes parents more anxious than if their children are afraid. I mean, you think about it from an evolutionary perspective, that parents are hardwired to make sure these children survive, so that if they think there's something wrong, they're kind of galvanized into action. And what they tend to do when they're really anxious is they give the child a bit more space. So, for example, they might say, well, he's really upset from this earthquake, so we won't worry about the usual rules. And, bedtime can be a bit later, and we'll kind of give him a bit of space. And unfortunately, all that does is raise the child's anxiety levels more, because there's more change. So when children are anxious, the rule of thumb is come in tighter, shut the boundaries down more, because what you do is make them feel more secure. So even under really difficult circumstances, keep routines going as much as possible. And if your child becomes really anxious, just impose your routines even more strongly than you did before.
Okay. And finally, how can the parent look after themselves?
I mean, that's so important. And I've got a little mantra, and that's the 4 cornerstones of mental health. So sleep, making sure that you get as much sleep as you can. And there are, ways that you can attend to getting more sleep. There's lots of stuff on the internet about something called sleep hygiene, so that's worth looking at. The second is nutrition, making sure that you eat regularly and sensibly and try not to use alcohol to relax you. Yep. The third thing is getting a bit of exercise. We know that exercise has a significant effect on our mood and the way that we feel, the way our brain functions. It doesn't have to be a marathon. 20 minutes walk is great regularly. And the fourth thing, and maybe the most important, is fun. We've got parts of our brains that are absolutely dependent on pleasure. So in these hard times, particularly, people have got to remember what are the things that make them feel happy, that make them feel good, and schedule those things in. It's like your daily pleasure dose. You have to have it.
Right. Thank you so much for coming on the programme, Fran.
You're
really
very welcome.
We'll be back after this break. Welcome back to City Life. Now, last week I caught up with Vaughan Milner. Now I'd like to welcome to City Life Vaughan from the New Zealand Council of Christian Social Services. Tell me about the council.
The council's a group of religious organisations who provide social services. So it's the Baptists, Presbyterians, Salvation Army, Catholics, Methodists.
Quite a group.
Yep.
So what sort of social services do you offer?
Well, across the country we're involved with services to both young and old and in a whole variety of ways, from social work counselling through to residential aged care. And the council acts as an umbrella body for each of the independent social service organisations, and its function is to represent those organisations' interests at the national level, at government level, and also to bring to the attention of politicians and the public issues that are of concern to members of the council in respect of social policy or social trends or hardship that clients of the organisations are facing.
Okay, let's look at some of the issues that you're dealing with at the moment.
Well, I think that we've just launched the Closer Together Whakatata Mai campaign, which is a campaign to provoke debate about inequality. And that's driven really by the concerns we have about poverty and the hardship that a lot of New Zealanders on low or fixed incomes are facing, and the fact that they seem to be missing out on a lot of social activity and being able to be part of society because of the sort of inequalities in the country. Yeah.
Do you have any specific areas of concern in Christchurch?
Well, I mean, Christchurch is a little unusual at the moment because of the earthquake, but what we see in Christchurch and throughout the country is that low-income households are facing increased costs, and that children particularly are likely to be missing out on access to ordinary recreational activity. There's often issues, health issues that emerge because of inadequate nutrition, and of course adequate, warm, comfortable accommodation is becoming unaffordable for many people. And nationally there are issues like teen pregnancy, obesity, all of which can be tracked to people not having adequate income, and which could be improved by some greater sharing of the resources that the country has across the whole population, and not just amongst a few.
Okay, because your main aim at the moment is to reduce the gap between the rich and the poor. How do you hope to do this? Well,
what we're wanting at the moment is to try and get some thoughtful debate going, particularly at the political level, to look at what are the issues that arise through inequality, and are there ways that the country could in fact pay attention to those and do something about them. And that's been, we've seen a lot of information come through from the UK, particularly through a book called The Spirit Level, which has been tracking some of the issues related to income inequality across the OECD countries. And New Zealand ranks very poorly, as a developed country with a huge natural resource and a sort of a tradition of fairness. By a lot of statistics, things like child abuse, obesity, teen pregnancy particularly, the New Zealand rates really lowly amongst developed countries, and there's a correlation between that and the income gaps that exist. So what we're wanting is some discussion and debate about, are there ways that some of the gaps can be reduced, and so that New Zealand is a fairer society, and that's based on the sort of premise that a fairer society is better for everyone.
And is this discussion happening?
Well, it's certainly beginning to happen. Treasury, for example, recently has released a couple of reports and made comment on their concerns about increased inequality. And there's certainly a concern amongst the member agencies and obviously the churches that support those. But we would hope that the politicians will begin to engage with the issues and to think about things like income redistribution and to look at ways where assistance can be more targeted to those who most need it. But also there's issues like, well, is the minimum wage adequate? Are people who live on and rely on fixed income, low income or benefits, is that okay or not? The recent debate we've seen in the media about the price of milk, for example, is an instance where New Zealand should be able to ensure that everyone has access to cheap, affordable milk, and yet we don't.
Okay. Yeah. Finally, if this discussion doesn't work, what do you think will happen?
Well, we'll keep chipping away. Okay.
How can people get in touch with you if they want to talk to you more about this debate?
Well, they can go onto the NZCCSS website or onto the Whakatata Closer Together Whakatata Mai website. So it's www.closertogetherwhakatata.
Okay, great. Yep. Vaughan, really good to see you here on City Live today.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody in their life has to face a funeral, and it's a very, very difficult time of one's time. And so today we're going to find out a little about funerals from Roddy. Hi, Roddy.
How's it going?
Good, thanks, Roddy. Now, I think we were discussing earlier eco-funerals.
Yeah.
Tell me about them.
The big buzzword. Yeah, funerals, in the funeral industry, we don't have a lot of buzzwords. Not a lot of change, really. We've been doing a similar thing for a long time, but the current trend is towards having an ecological perspective of all aspects of our lives, and funerals are no different. And as we become ecologically more conscious, families are coming to us and asking what can they do to ensure that when they go through the funeral process and go through that bereavement time, that what they're also doing, not only from a cultural and respect point of view and honouring the loss of the loved one, what can they do to ensure that they're being as environmentally as conscious as possible? And for the longest time, we sort of said there isn't a lot we could do because we just didn't know what to do. And so now, through a number of years of research, we have been looking at what are the options, and some interesting developments, shall we say, they're in the pipeline. Right. Some are here right now. So from a start-off point of view, people need to choose between burial and cremation.
Yes.
It's a simple choice.
That's the simple choice that has been there before, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Nothing has changed there. So if we're going to go down the route of cremation, then people obviously think that the crematorium process, then greenhouse emissions are going to be part of that.
Yes.
So there's a number of the crematoriums who are dedicating reclaiming land, they are replanting land. So for every cremation, for example, in Canterbury here, Flaxton Park in North Canterbury, for every cremation that they undertake, they plant 2 native trees and they're reclaiming an area to native bush to offset any carbon emissions in the crematorium process.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's the first option there.
Yes.
Second option, if we go down the burial route, is there an eco-burial park in Canterbury? And there is not.
Right.
But there is going to be, and one of our companies based out in Selwyn District Funeral Services is working with the Selwyn District Council to create the first eco-burial park in Canterbury. There are currently 2 eco-burial parks in New Zealand, one in McGregor, outside of Wellington.
Yes, I've read of that one.
And
yes.
one in Motueka. Well, for us and for our clientele, neither of those are a particularly practical option. It's too far away.
Of course.
The cost of transport and everything else, and also the cost of burial, because these parks are never cheap, just makes it outside the realm possibility for the most people. So we're in process working with the council to say, okay, there is a need. What does it actually mean? So there's a number of things that we've looked at, and for a start off, the embalming process.
Yes.
There's a different embalming process or no embalming process. Okay. And that's a choice that family can discuss with us, and we can go into detail about what that actually entails. There is reclamation of land, reusing land, replanting land, trying to restore it, some sort of environment. We're working currently with the council, who are working with other interest groups like Forest and Bird.
So this will be in the Christchurch environment?
Not in the Christchurch environment. Well, technically, yes.
Yes.
At the moment, we're looking at Shands Road Cemetery,
yes.
and there is a section of pine forestation out there that we're looking to reclaim back to native bush. Remove the pines.
That's lovely.
Yeah, it's an old shingle pit, and
yes.
so there is an element of land restoration there that it could be beautified and become a park. One of the things that we've been thinking a lot about is that if we go down this road, and if it's important to people, do we have to be bound by the same rules?
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, is it going to be that same formal rows in a cemetery of rows of headstones? And I think not. This is much more likely to be completely unique in the sense that it'll be an open space, a green space. The graves will be marked, but possibly electronically and not visually above the ground.
Okay.
All right. So that people know where the loved ones are buried. There'll be a marker in the ground, maybe with a GPS locator. But the sense that there is trees, park space, benches that people could go and enjoy.
So the burial is not quite as deep, is that correct?
That's one of the factors,
yes.
and that also causes us some issues because the backfill material,
yes.
To be technical about it, there's very little microbial activity below 18 inches,
right.
all right, or 450 mil
Sure.
in the new terms. And so what we had to do is bring that grave, instead of having people literally, in the old days, 6 feet under,
sure.
bring them up to about a 3-foot level and then backfill with an organic material that contains microbial activity.
Right.
Roddy,
we're getting the wind up. This is interesting. We're going to follow this in another session.
Absolutely. Be more than happy to come back.
Thank you very much indeed. And that's Canterbury Christian Funerals, Canterbury Christian Funeral Services, 2008 Limited, and they're located at 24 Sheffield Crescent, Burnside in Christchurch. Telephone number 35 888 07, and they're open 24 hours.
You're back with City Life, and I'd like to welcome back to the program Dr. Ramon Pink. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Now, the last time you were here was the very first episode of City Life, which was 9 weeks ago. Can you believe that we've been going for that long?
Time has flown, hasn't it?
Yes.
There's been lots of things happening in that time, Canita.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Now, the public see hospitals and doctors as healthcare. What else is involved in being a healthy population?
Doctors and hospitals are important in restoring the health of the people in the community, but there's many other things that determine how healthy our population is, and these things can be environmental, they can be social, they can be our own personal behaviours, and so you know, creation of walkways and cycleways in our environments, or open spaces, recreational facilities, so that people can come together. Sporting activities, getting our communities together is important. Public transport, homes, and that's a huge issue here for our city after the tragedy that we've experienced. But rebuilding of homes that are warm and that are safe for our communities, all of those impact on the health of our community.
Is it important that health is considered in the earthquake recovery to rebuild the city?
Indeed, and as a DHB, we're really keen for anyone involved in recovery to recognise the importance of the impact planning will have on the health of our community. So we're very keen to really push health as a priority as we move forward.
Okay, and we have a DVD from Community and Public Health to show today.
We do. It's a DVD that reflects the numbers of different agencies that are involved in health. We prepared this DVD for our incoming board, and the board were so impressed by it, they said, look, this needs to go out to the community. So thank you for putting it out to the community today.
You're welcome. Let's have a watch of it.
Thank you.
In Canterbury, growing a healthy population is the responsibility of all citizens, from workers to employers, young mums to local authorities, police to school teachers. We've all got a role to play in making it possible for people to be healthy and to stay healthy so that our medical workforce can use their skills where they're really needed. Canterbury District Health Board, through its Public Health Division, is involved with many different sectors and programs designed to create environments that help our citizens make healthy choices. Here's some thoughts from our community about their roles in creating healthy environments or making healthy choices.
Tēnā koutou katoa. There are many areas in which Māori health can be improved. Mana whenua has a wide view of health. Besides the clinical arena, we are particularly interested in the determinants of health, and this is, of course, preventative medicine at its best. In many ways, community and public health approach to health is very similar and familiar with Māori. An outcome of this relationship has been the development of Hauora Waitaha, a tool that can not only be used by the CDHB, but also local authorities within Canterbury. I believe the formula for the success of this tool has been the ongoing involvement and feedback to the Māori community. A further example of this collaboration is the current work being done with the reduction of smoking. The aim is for Ngāi Tahu to declare an aspirational goal of being a smoke-free iwi. I would like to encourage us all to look forward beyond the targets set by the Minister of Health and to continue the kōrero, the discussion that will open the doors to improve health in its broadest sense within the community of Canterbury. Tēnā tātou katoa.
Congratulations on your election to the Health Board. The City Council has a lot of common ground with the health sector, and we are really keen to work together with you to achieve the best outcomes for our community. Community wellbeing is an important part of health in Christchurch. We believe the best things in life are free, and as a city we are committed to great recreational space in the city, to parks and pools and libraries and things that families can enjoy without a direct cost. We look forward to a productive term ahead and wish you well with your tenure.
The health of Christchurch and Canterbury generally is much more than just working with the DHB. The environment, the air, the natural water, transport issues, and actually just safety around the community. For instance, water safety is all part of something that the Environment Canterbury can contribute to. As commissioners, we're very aware of that, and we want to play our part in working with the CDHB. The issues that Environment Canterbury can work on, the clean air, the water, the environment generally, safety with regards to transport, cycleways, motorways and things like that. The long-term policies of those issues are taken into account. And then day to day we see the staff working together. For instance, ECAN's regional policy statement has had excellent input as far as health assessments are concerned by the staff from CDHB.
Well, the Canterbury District Health Board isn't just involved with hospital services, of course, it's involved with all aspects of the health of Cantabrians. And we really want to be part of the regional land transport policy because active transport is a very important part of keeping Cantabrians healthy.
So I look forward to continuing to work with the CDHB at all levels, and I'm sure that we can work together to maintain healthy environment and healthy activities for the people of Canterbury. Thank you.
We moved into this house on the 8th of May last year. From that day to the day, Oliver started vomiting. I don't know what it was, but we, from that point, were quite ill up until the end of September, just after Esther was born. And again, from Easter this year through to the end of May, at which point our heat pump was installed. We were again quite ill. We had everything under the sun that you could think of. The heat pump just made such a huge dramatic difference. We were comfortable around the clock. The kids were happy. Our power bills were literally halved. If we'd been lumped with only the gas this year, we simply could not have afforded to run it and we would have been cold. This all came about through the Warm Babies project as part of Community Energy Action, and we're just so pleased that we got put onto them because they have just made such a difference in our lives. And we would love to see them being able to make such a difference in other people's lives as well, because it's just been so worthwhile.
With every dollar spent on insulation saving $2 in health, we think it makes really good sense for us to work closely with the health profession. And we do this, we take referrals of people with a range of health conditions, cardiovascular illness and respiratory conditions, and we put insulation and a range of heating products into their homes. Makes a huge difference, reduces hospital admissions, doctor's visits, time off school and work.
We're at St Mary's School, right in the heart of the city. A lot of people say they don't know where St Mary's is, but we've been here since 1894 and have a very proud history. Our school roll is 123, and we're a very multicultural school. We've got 13 different cultures. Children come from all over the world. This year we worked with the Health Promoting Schools program. 6 of our children in Year 6 were involved in that. They worked with the presenter to create a health newsletter for the rest of the school family. These 6 children have been very busy throughout the year interviewing other children about what they think constitutes healthy eating and what they think health is all about. They also interviewed a grandparent, myself and our parish priest, so a broad spectrum of people. Well, the program has been extremely beneficial because I've noticed that throughout the school the children are more aware of healthy eating in our school. So those increased benefits and the leadership skills that it's developed make me want to continue this program next year. I'm really looking forward to it.
Welcome to your new role from the business community of Canterbury. As key influencers in the community, it's really important that we concentrate on good, healthy outcomes. As employers, it is especially important to create and continue to operate a healthy work environment. It's good for productivity. Good workplace practices mean better business. And options involved in a healthy work environment could be a good gym practice, could be healthy food options, could be working on flexible workplace practices. It's simply about good life balance. The Canterbury Employers Chamber of Commerce is really keen to work with the Canterbury District Health Board as partners to ensure good healthy outcomes for our community.
My name's Dave Cliff and I'm the District Commander here for police across Canterbury. We do work really closely with a number of your staff. Some of the areas where we get fantastic assistance are particularly with the Watch House Nurses project, where 2 nurses operate from the Central Police Station Watch House and they carry out assessments, particularly looking for those with mental health and drug or alcohol issues, and then provide them through for later counselling. That's proved to be a very effective initiative. The second big issue for us, I guess, really is the abuse of alcohol. That's the single biggest generator of harm. So loss-leading supermarkets, bars that sell liquor to the point of intoxication is a major generator of problems for us, and obviously for you too, in terms of the number of presentations you're getting at the emergency department.
The effects of excessive alcohol in our department, because it is enormous. On Easter Friday, when all the pubs and the nightclubs were closed, not one single alcohol-related event occurred on our night shift in the emergency department. On Easter Saturday, one night later, when all the pubs and all the nightclubs were open, we had a heinous night with multitude of patients in our departments, our corridors chocker and full, and by the change of shift next morning there were still 13 patients lined up in our corridors, not just in our beds but in our corridors, from problems related to alcohol, 5 of whom required surgery for broken jaws. It takes a lot of force to break a jaw that requires surgery.
The last thing just to talk about in terms of a future concept is that the amount of family violence being reported through to police and other agencies, the number of issues around child protection, and also the issues around adult sexual assault are also things that we're very keen to talk to you about Within Counties Manukau, there's a combined hub where all those services are provided from one location. So police, child, youth and family, medical staff, ACC and all those other agencies involved in those areas can be housed in one location. We're really interested in talking about that.
Stethoscopes and surgery are vitally important. We also need to work together to create healthy environments that enable our population to make healthy choices. We're looking forward to working with you. Thanks from the community and public health team.
Dr. Ramon Pink, thank you so much for coming on the program today.
Thank you, Kanita.
We'll be back after this break. Welcome back to City Life. Finally on the program, I'd like to welcome Lucy Arnold from one of the craftiest websites in Christchurch, felt.co.nz. Welcome to City Life.
Thanks.
Now tell me about Felt.
It's an online marketplace for handmade goods, a sort of craft community online hub for New Zealand makers.
And it's not just the website, you do other things as well.
I do, yeah. I've been organising some, over the past few years, organised some craft markets in Christchurch, a craft affair and the night market at our city Otatahi.
So tell me, is there a big market for craft and the things that you make?
There seems to be. I think it's a growing market. Like there's sort of a movement towards handmade and away from mass-produced. So yeah, I think it's sort of a bit of a revival happening at the moment.
Okay. Now I know that you used to make things for the site, but you've become a little bit too busy. Yeah. Tell me about some of the things that are on the site.
There's a huge range of stuff. There's probably one of the biggest categories on the site is jewellery, because it's quite an accessible thing to move into making. There's a lot of clothing, accessories, furniture, art, yeah, just a huge variety of handmade things.
Yeah. How has the earthquake affected Felt?
It hasn't really affected the website itself. We had an office in the CBD, so obviously we've been displaced and won't be moving back in there. But the website has sort of carried on regardless, and there's actually been an increase in sales from Christchurch. I'm hearing from sellers that they're making a lot of sales into Christchurch, so I think it might be sort of filling a gap for filling the gap left by a lot of those little independent shops that have been affected by the earthquake. Yeah.
Tell me about some of the people that are making the craft work.
Well, it's again a huge variety of people. It's mostly women, but there's quite a few guys on there as well, and they're from all over New Zealand. There's a few international sellers on there too, and a lot of them are involved in the events that I've organised here in Christchurch, and events like Craft 2.0 in Wellington, and various markets up in Auckland as well. Yeah.
Tell me about the short-term plan for it.
For Felt, at the moment, we just want to keep doing what we're doing. We're quite a small team, and we're all based in Christchurch, so we're just sort of sticking with it at the moment, and trying to carry on providing a hub for crafters, particularly in Christchurch at the moment, because there's not that same sort of social centre that there was before. So yeah, we're reviving Crafty Business, which is a meet-up, a monthly meet-up for crafters, and just trying to keep people sort of motivated to keep making.
Yeah, actually the reason I wanted to get you on the programme is to talk about how do you think Felt, or craft in fact, is going to fit into the future of Christchurch?
Well, I'm sort of Christchurch is my home, and when I started Felt, my vision for it was for it to be a sort of craft hub, like to have a physical presence as well as the online presence, and yeah, like now it sort of seems a sort of even more relevant vision in that it seems like something that could be quite inspiring and motivating for Christchurch, and something that could make Christchurch a craft destination. Like I kind of have this image of Felt as being part of a crafty precinct, where which is a destination for people outside of Christchurch that brings people in, and also provides a support network for people in Christchurch who are making things and making a business of making things.
I think the great thing about Christchurch right now is that anything could happen, couldn't it?
Yeah, it's a huge sense of opportunity.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Now, finally, tell me about these craft nights that you're having once a month.
Well, the next one's on July the 4th. That's a Monday evening at Elevate Bar,
Great.
corner of Colombo and Centaurus Roads. And it's just really a get-together, a chance to have a glass of wine and talk to other crafters and just hang out, really. It started off, when we started Crafty Business, it was much more focused on the business. Now it's become a really social thing.
Yeah.
And it's a nice, really lovely group of people, and anyone's welcome to come along.
Cool. And you have a Facebook page, which is one of my favourites.
Yeah.
It's just Felt, is it?
It's on Facebook, it's I Heart Felt.
I Heart Felt, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you so much for coming on the programme.
Thank you.
Have fun on July the 4th.
Thanks.
Now, that is City Life for today. Do you know you can now watch us on demand? Just go to ctv.co.nz and click on demand, and you can see all the episodes of City Life on there. Now, you can get in touch with us here. You can email me, kaneta@ctv.co.nz. You can call us 3777 033, or you can write to us, PO Box 1100 Christchurch. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.